Mary, are you there?
Yes.
All right. All right. So, everybody, tonight we are going to be doing more of a focused AMA on U.S. housing exchange as Alfonso is spending time with his family. Tonight is the service for his father-in-law who passed away. So we're going to be focusing on some other things that are happening that we've got going on in the club that I think should be good for everybody to hear. So, Mario, why don't you give a little bit for some of the newer people who might be on tonight? Why don't you give a little bit of a background on Fire Your Landlord and some of the work that you've done in the forensic accounting space, and kind of tell people how it is that you do the real estate transactions the way you do them.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Um, Prayers to Alfonso and his family as they're going through what they're going through. Um, my background, I have 20 years experience of being a forensic credit auditor. So that's like a fancier term for credit repair on steroids, because traditionally credit repair deals with going back and forth with the credit bureaus, and they might download some letters and then just kind of use a shotgun approach, and then you just kind of see what comes off the credit report. So we've gotten a little bit more sophisticated than that, and we realize that the bureaus are only data gatherers for creditors and creditors, collection agencies, whatever, who has their data. So what we did was we learned the laws of the Fair Debt and Collection Practices Act, Fair Credit Reporting Act, HIPAA, you name it, we know it. So then now what happens is we know how to reverse engineer a flip. So traditional flips, you buy your property first, you renovate it, and then you wait for an end buyer to take you out. In this market, you can do that, but it's not always going to be a seller's market. So what we've done and what we have been doing since 2007, we will start with the end buyer. We will get a credit challenged individual who we pretty much market to on firing the landlord. There's 47 million renters that are out there. So what we want to do is almost match the buyer based upon their affordability. And then we buy the property that they select that needs to be rehabbed. And then from that point, they commit to the after repair value before we even buy the property. So we have a very conservative way that we're doing it. This way, we don't have to over rehab the properties like most investors, because they have no idea who their end buyer is. And so their margins are getting shrunk because they might put 40, 50% more into a property than what we would, because we're fixing a property up for our end buyer. They're choosing their colors, their styles, everything that comes in from that. And then we allow them to temporarily rent the property or owner finance, depending on the state that we're in, for us to be able to overcome the credit hurdle. And then I'm licensed. I mean, I could do mortgages in all 50 states pretty much. So then now what we do is we'll qualify them for what they can qualify for. We have all their documents and everything like that, which we store. And then from that point, once a property's selected, we know what we get the scope of work. Another thing that's a little bit more unique with us is we have something that we've coined the Uber for contracting. So when we get a property, instead of getting a GC come tell us how much they're going to actually charge us to be able to renovate a property, we will have a property pre-scoped with all the labor costs and everything like that in, and we have fixed amount of labor that we pay out. That makes us more efficient. That makes us to where we're attracting the workers to be able to do the work, and we're going to be spinning off something to where within our app we're going to be attracting contractors all over the country, where they'll be receiving push notifications to come to our projects to be able to renovate it. So in essence, we've done a real estate deal backwards.
Yeah, but in another way, I mean, really, what you've done is you've de-risked to some degree the market because you're not waiting on the other side, and also, why don't you talk about how you're buying these properties so that you know that in my experience, which is a fair amount in real estate, you always make money when you buy the property. If you buy the property right, you're going to make money, and if you don't, you probably won't. Not to say that you can't, but you probably won't. So why don't you talk about how you're getting these properties? What kind of list? You're not just going to the MLS and plucking things off and hoping to do better on the other side. You guys have a strategy in that, correct?
So you're absolutely correct on how you buy. We're very strict. Our ceiling is we have to be all in with acquisition and rehab at 75% after repair value. We've been fortunate. It's harder in this market because of the interest rates being down, which should be a good thing, but it's not. Because what's happening is everybody and their mother watched the HDTV episode, and now they're flipping properties. So
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing there at Magnolia. That like, hey, we're gonna add a second floor and a kitchen and a backyard and a pool,
oh
and
my
they're all
gosh.
in for $2,500 somehow. I don't know how that how they do it in Wayne.
It's amazing, but we managed to have our ears to the ground, and we have wholesalers all over the country. We're just making a deal with New Western. Not real crazy about their process, but they do end up finding some deals with some great margins. So we get from there. We're dealing with sellers, disgruntled. I mean, not disgruntled. Sellers that have issues. Whether they're facing foreclosure with pre-foreclosure sales, whether it's
Distress
tax
property.
sales,
Yeah.
distress zones, whatever. So we look for all different types of ways. And as we grow our community, we will be the go-to place when you have people that's having issues. So the key is to be able to attract the properties that's going to have the proper margins. And so when you get those properties, you match them up with the people who just want to own a property. Then from that point, they're not going to be as picky as your traditional buyer. So it's really putting all parties together at one time.
So I've said this on a couple of the last AMAs, as we were preparing for this one, that your slogan being "Fire your landlord," I like, but the next step is fire your bank, which I like even more. So why don't we talk about the opportunity here with the club and the property that you've got in Houston, and what we're looking to do, just for so everybody knows, is we're looking to do similar to what we're doing with the White Rabbit of Diamonds, but with a piece of real estate instead of a Trillion Saitama. And although a Trillion Saitama is a nice ticket today, I think the last I saw, Mario, correct me if I'm wrong, that property appraises somewhere around $280,000, give or take. Correct?
Yeah, it's between 280 and 290. We had an
Yeah. Okay.
as-is appraisal at 283, and there was a couple things that we still had to do to the house. I would say that from when I first met Bo in the middle of October, and then that was 273, and 2 months later, we had it appraised for 10 grand more. So
Yeah.
it's a very uh, it's not the Hamptons where Bo lives, but it's a very, very nice community, very good middle class community, zoned to some a very good school district, and it's literally your backyard. You're on the golf course,
Yeah, but
right through the fence. You
let's
can see
talk to that
everything.
for a second, because some people may say, well, that's great, but I don't live in Houston, or I don't really want to be in Houston, or maybe they do, maybe they don't. Whether you do or don't live in Houston, though, what we're talking about here is a house free and clear that you can have to either do an Airbnb, where and Mary, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong, but that Mario and his team can help manage the Airbnb process. You can end up saying, I don't necessarily want the house, but I'm happy to take, some portion of that in cash or tokens. Or yeah, I'll take the house free and clear and I'll just sell it and walk away with the money. This is a free 280 something $1,000 home that can be won by people participating in this prize. So it's an exciting deal, And again, you're a car person or a real estate person or just wild about tokens, 280,000 is 280,000. So why don't you talk a little bit about that property? Like you said, it's on a golf course in Houston, north of the city. I think is it in the Woodlands or is it woodland adjacent?
It's a little bit below the Woodlands. It's not as far up, but you're probably about 10 minutes from the airport. That's the reason why I believe it's a good Airbnb. And we do have some contacts that would manage the Airbnb for 10, 15%. And from what we were told, the location has been kind of mapped out by some Airbnb because we're probably gonna, depending on how everything goes, that's what we were gonna do. I was gonna, if I was gonna be the one who won it, I would immediately do a cash out refinance, go up to 80 LTV. I would decorate the house for Airbnb. And for what we were told on the analysis, that it should be getting between 35 to $50,000 a year in rental income. And the mortgage on it on I guess the mortgage would be about 80% of what the value would be. It's you could probably cash flow a couple grand a month, even having that money that would be tax free because it's a loan and they can't tax a loan. So my
So
recommendation wouldn't be to sell it, because my recommendation would be is to take the money out. You probably get about 220 grand tax free, and it's offset by the Airbnb, which is still cash flowing from.
yeah, so okay, so the idea here in U.S. Housing Exchange, and part of what we're going to do here on the when marketing question, is use these types of homes. You know, and we went round and round on this strategy for a couple weeks now, but it looks like what Mario and his team have in inventory already. You know, we can do this every month for the next 4 months, and then as this takes off, you know, we're going to be doing one of these giveaways. It looks like probably once a month going forward, and that to me is as exciting as anything. Like I said in the beginning, you know, fire your landlord is cool. Fire your bank is so much cooler. You know, imagine how your life would be if you never had a rent payment, never had a mortgage payment. Just how much more money you'd have to be able to spend on U.S. Housing Exchange rewards tokens, you know, and all the things that you can do in that as you go forward. Um, so Mario, where else are these properties, and then what would the process be? Well, let's answer that first question first.
Um, the second week, the second month, we have a property in Berlin, New Jersey, which is South Jersey. It's probably about 30 minutes from Atlantic City, about 20 minutes from Philadelphia, and it's a four-bedroom, but then it has a two-bedroom apartment in a duplex. We're also going to be doing one there. That could be an awesome Airbnb because of the location. And then the third one that we're going to do is in Atlanta. That's another one that's about 10 minutes from the airport. That one's appraising for about 350 to 370,000. That one we just finished it this week. Beautiful, and we're actually going to be converting it into an Airbnb. If somebody wins it, they can keep it into our Airbnb. They can do whatever. But we think that one is going to be real hot because it's in a historical area. So it's gone up in value about 50K in 8 months. So
Yeah,
it's really starting to pop. And then we got another one in Houston. But the exciting part is we will be even doing some new construction, and when we do a development, we'll be giving away or turning. And then another thing is with our mission to be able to help with the kids aging out of foster care. We're also going to be for every property that we give away, we're buying, and then we're making that a transitional house. So where we're going to be getting certifications and and licenses for those kids that are from 18 to 23, so they can end up getting careers. So that's
yeah,
what we want to do. That's how we're going to be giving back, is that we want to create something off a system that is kind of broken because the government's not doing anything about that. So
yeah. No,
we and then
there's no kind of about it. You know, again, I want to clarify for people who've not heard Mario speak on this subject, because it's something I didn't know anything about until, you know, frankly, never thought about it one way or another. But you know, kids aging out of the foster system, for those of you who don't know, I'll have Mario share the statistics. When they turn 18, the majority, as I understand, end up being turned out. You know, so whether or not they're on whether or not they're graduated high school, whether or not they're done or not, they're basically said, "Hey, you know, we love you, but we can't afford to keep you in our house anymore, so you're out." And so, Mario, what are the statistics? It's horrific.
51% of those children are young adults, since they're 18 to 23. But 51% of them will be homeless 24 months after they get released out of foster care. 41% will be in prison. And then 71% of the females will be pregnant within 2 years of them leaving their foster care, pretty much because of the fact that the government is not paying these parents, and they have no incentive after 18 to keep these kids in these homes. So we want to be creating safe havens with U.S. Housing Exchange, and we want to have these properties, and then we're going to be having a because the government won't allow you to get grants or anything until you can prove that it works. So we're going to just self-fund it and then be able to do those particular type of things. So
Yeah.
it's
So
not.
so as we break down the tokenomics for USHX, and we're going to be coming out with a landing page and white paper here in the coming week or so on this, but we'll talk about the tokenomics and how that goes to the charity. You know, in this case, is going to be very specific. You know, on that as we go forward, and I believe Mary, you've got your own 501(c)(3) already set up for this cause, and others,
Yes,
correct?
we have the Halo Foundation. It's already set up. We've been active since 2012, and so that's what we would do on our house giveaway. It would be under the Halo Foundation, and as well as our transitional housing, as well as our anti-gentrification. All those things will come under the umbrella of the Halo Foundation, but we're going to be using the tokenomics because off of how we're going to be doing these things, we're also creating, just so you know, we're also going to be creating our own social media community and within how we're going to be doing this, which is going to be think of the MLS or any of the websites that have featured properties, but then now imagine Facebook to where you can see people that can be interactive. So we want to be the first site that I know of that's going to actually be a real estate site that's going to match buyers, sellers, wholesalers, everything, and our token will be used like a casino where you can redeem, convert your cash into tokens, and then you'll be able to participate in flips and everything. So
So
within
yeah,
the community,
we'll get real deep into the staking opportunities and the things as we go forward. But I mean, it's also important that everybody understands that we're coming out of all of the pre rounds here, and we're getting ready to go into the spin out. So in the next couple days, although Mary, I think that you just shot it over to me just prior to the call. They've already set up their own Discord now. We're going to be putting up the landing page for USHX for the token site. Yeah, they just launched their new website, right? It's live now.
well, the landing page is live,
The
which is
landing page.
Founders
I'm
Club.
sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the website's gonna probably take a couple more months. So we're gonna have our Discord available to where we'll be on there once a week, giving the updates, letting people know what's going on, answering questions, really pounding out our utility. But then most important, announcing how the contests are going as far as our raising the funds. And if you live in a part of the country to where you're like, you know what, I'd love to be able to get a house there. Well, look, we're not limited because our network is all over the United States. So we
So
can be able to
that
get out.
was. Thank you for answering that question that I didn't ask, because that was the second half of that question that I said earlier. I was going to come back to. So talk to people about how they should get a hold of you on that. Like, hey, look, I live in Ohio. I know there's a couple people, or I live in the West Coast, or I live here. Like, what's the process of saying, yeah, how should people reach out to you? What's the best way to reach you? And then, you know,
People should get, Bo or Todd put the Discord invite in the chat box. And then from there, we'll be having these things. And then, you could be able to reach me right there on Discord on any questions or simply or you can email me at mhenry@ushousingexchange.com. But Discord is like an instant message, so I could be reached there as well. I'm pretty responsive when people reach out to me, so then we can be able to go from there.
um, okay, perfect. And then on, let me see, what was the last thing I wanted to say? Just on community building and other projects. You guys are. I know you've got an active community. Again, for those of people who haven't been on here before, Mario played in the NFL for a bit of time. How long was it, Mario?
It was only 2 seasons, so it
Only
was
two
not
seasons.
that
All
not that
right.
long.
In my head, it was longer than that. Maybe.
Yeah, well, pro ball, me trying to get back to the NFL was like 6 years, but by the time I finally realized that that door was kind of nailed shut, I realized after playing in leagues with hearing individual conversations in the stands because nobody was there, and kind of had to come to a realization that I need to do something else.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I
so
remember
yeah, so
when I met Emmett Smith for the first time. I realized that I was it was fairly bigger than he was at the time, and thinking, when I was a kid, he was sort of the man, right? Like I was a Cowboy fan as a kid. It's a long story, but I was, and thinking like, man, if it wasn't for my lack of God given talent, I could have been a pretty good football player myself. But I just don't have any skill in that
you
regard.
definitely would be surprised that some of these guys are a lot bigger than you thought, and some of these guys are a lot smaller than you thought. But you
Yeah,
know
well, no,
that.
I have that opposite thing too. I think in St. Louis,
Yeah.
met the
So
front line of those teams.
I think that with what we're trying to do is, within the contest, and I'm sure you'll talk about the details of how, people will be able to promote the USHX token, but, uh, that's what the whole premise is we want to be able to get entire communities. We got entire cities want to partner with us for redevelopment. The
Yeah,
city of Salem was one, city of Salem, New Jersey was one, Boynton Beach down in Florida there too. And we're in talks to be able to start hooking up something in Jackson, Mississippi. Anywhere where they have a whole bunch of city-owned properties. You know that we were on that call in the city of Chicago. That just didn't work out. We're not
sure.
trying to be beholden to the Rainbow Coalition the way on how they wanted to, but we think that we're going to get a great opportunities to partner with cities to be able to get their dilapidated properties and vacant lots and be able to do a lot of these type of things. And then it's going to open up into a lot of different areas. So when you're
That's a
going,
couple different strategies there, just to clarify, right? I mean, you have your fix and flip strategy, for the credit challenge. You've got just the sale to your average person, because again, you've got a fair amount of equity in these different projects that I know that we've looked at with you. Certainly bought them right, and then of course on the kind of what I call playing Monopoly, where you're getting city blocks at a time, to rebuild cities. I mean that's a whole nother thing. And like I said earlier, we'll go over on a future AMA, kind of staking strategies and things that we can do, and pairing some of that stuff with NFTs as we roll forward, because I think that's a really important thing to do. But it changes and maybe looks a little going forward, and just from an overall crypto perspective, just an opportunity to be able to take um, to take these properties. Dilapidated isn't the word that ends up on the catalog, right? That might be before, but certainly not the after.
well, you got a real good opportunity that's coming up because they've still been constipating all these foreclosures over the last couple of years. So whenever they end up kind of just running out of time, there's going to be a huge boom on whenever that time is, to where the government keeps kicking the can down the road. But eventually they're going to have to pay the piper, and you're going to probably see a lot activity that's comparable to 2008 once that runs out. And that's going to be a great buying opportunity for a lot of us. It's going to rescue a lot of people from having foreclosures on the record. And then we could do a lot of subject to. So there's going to be a lot of techniques that we can actually do, along with this. And like Bo said, there will be a lot of staking activities for people who do have active tokens that they're going to be able to keep. So that's what our goal is for us to be able to continue to be able to show the utility of the token, and then not only just have the strategy of having it and trading and everything, but we want our tokens to be same as cash and as close to it as possible on what we're trying to work on. So that's what we spend a lot of time on. So however whenever the contest is announced, we look forward to giving away that house. Really look forward to giving away. Have a nice little ceremony and everything, and somebody would get the deed and everything to a free and clear house.
Yeah, well, I think that's an exciting point to leave. I know it's Friday night, and people have got other things maybe on their mind. So Mario, I think let's do this. Let's send out the Discord link, the new Discord link on the Discord channel, on the community channel, and then we'll set up kind of like a sub Discord on our links channel. And for everybody who's paying attention to that side of it, we are actively trying to get the Discord more involved, and more detailed for all the members. We're trying to mimic some of the things that we're seeing in Neo Tokyo and in Overland and some of the other some of the other discords that we're looking at, that just have much more involvement from their communities and are almost using the community uh, pages as a guide for what kind of needs to be done, kind of keep everybody up to date on news and things. So when people come, they can use that resource really for what it is. Mario will go over, kind of that. I know
Yeah,
you
and I appreciate
guys
that.
are.
And Bo, KG had a question off of how can I go through the utility of it. I would say, KG, definitely make sure you join our Discord, because then we can go into a lot more depth of the utility. So then we're not dominating the call, because I know there's some other people that's going to have to go on there. So I appreciate, Bo, that you gave us the
Yeah.
platform to talk.
Alternatively, well, not alternatively, but in that what we're going to do is we will have the white paper and landing site up that's gonna dig into all of that detail as far as the initial utility, and then kind of the roadmap and things that we're looking at going forward. So we'll get into
And Bo, are you
all
going
that.
to be having the contest outlined as far as where everything is, so people will be able to see that, or do we need to go over that on our side?
No. We're going to put that up. So we're going to get the rules out. And I know we talked about, we just have had a couple different blog posts out. So we will put out a blog post that goes out. It's going to be very similar to what we're doing with the white diamond of rabbits, with the exception of the fact that we'll come up with something that's more USHX and not necessarily Mad Hatter related, or Alice in Wonderland related. And we'll come up with a name for that, but functionally, it's going to look very similar, where people who drive either uh, buying or some kind of activity in the USHX market is going to be able to win that prize. And again, it's a nice prize. It's a big prize. I think it's a great opportunity for somebody who wants to pick up a house, or a good amount of money. So anyway, so
You guys
everybody,
have
unless
a good
there's any
week.
other
Bo,
questions that popped
I
up in.
appreciate I appreciate everything, man. I really appreciate that. So you guys have a good one, and everybody's be safe. And Bo, say bye, Alfonso.
Yeah, no, I will do it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for all your well wishes and prayers and thoughts. It's I know it means a lot to in advance this time. So, all right, we'll be back on Monday at 7:30, and Mario may have you on to clarify some things that pop up over the weekend. But be on the lookout, because there's a lot of stuff coming out on this front. Okay, so wait, just to clarify, and so KG, I might be misunderstanding, but does this imply, or are some of these tokens only utility function to be staked? No, it's not. So it's utility going forward. There's going to be some things that we'll get into from a founders club perspective, and there are a whole slew of things that you'll be able to look at that'll be in the white paper. So that was for crypto coal. So maybe I'll give it one more minute, Mario, just to make sure there's nothing else pops in after the fact. But I'll be on for a few minutes on the Discord afterwards, just to answer any questions anybody might have going into the weekend. All right, good. Have a good weekend, everybody.